Hello friends, and welcome to another edition of Transformational Astrology. I'm Henry Seltzer, and we want to talk about the new moon that's coming up this weekend. Pretty powerful new moon, the Aries new moon at 22 degrees of Aries. And it will be happening on Sunday evening around 7:30 p.m. on the west coast. It would be 10:30 p.m. east coast, and of course later still in Europe. The thing about this new moon, and let me show you the chart because it's quite interesting. Here we go. Oops. Here we go with the chart. And this is fascinating, this chart, because if you look, of course, it's all happening in Aries, Aries new moon, and we've had Uranus in Aries at 24 degrees for quite some time now. It doesn't move very fast. It's been staying square with Pluto. Pluto right now at 26, incidentally stationing at this degree, so a month from now it'll also be at the same place, 26. It's going to go backwards a few degrees as it does, and then come forward again. So it's going to stay right around here. And the interesting thing in this configuration, something I've been talking about all along for months now, including last year, is the square that happens between Pluto and between Uranus down here and Pluto up here. And it used to be Pluto and Saturn during 2020, which was kind of indicative of the whole societal reset of 2020 that astrologers talked about, years before it came, and does have a lot to do with the pandemic, which really interrupted the society all over the world and made people isolated more, sheltering in place, therefore having a chance to reflect on things. And I think it's really been an opportunity for people to stop and think. I think that's one reason that the Black Lives Matter took off last summer, a year ago, so strongly, because people had a chance, well, of course, also what was happening with George Floyd, that murder that was witnessed on video, 9.5 minutes not taking the pressure off the neck until he died. So that was really very significant, and of course now the trial is going on. We're still seeing, as I say, many of the issues from the society represented still by just the remaining of the two planets. Saturn's moved on, but Pluto is still here in Capricorn, and Capricorn does refer to the society at large. So we still have, and we saw when Pluto came in to Capricorn, which was 2008, there was a big adjustment, economic adjustment there. Capitalism took a blow. There was problems with the way things were going at that time, and we're still seeing that. There's still quite a bit that has to be corrected in the society in terms of being more equitable, so that there's not such a great disparity between the very wealthy and the very poor, and also the advantages of the vaccinations. The difficulties with COVID has been disproportionate to minority communities, communities of color. So these things are potentially being corrected, or at least it's in the air. Really, it's not, we don't know, do we? I mean, it's up to each one of us how we vote with our words, how we vote with our vote when election time comes, how we vote with our money, the boycott that was threatened because of certain election restriction laws. Anyway, I don't want to get into politics. I do want to talk about the configuration. And what we're seeing right now is, as we've seen before, is we're seeing Uranus across from this new planet Haumea, which represents a deep connection within all of us to nature itself. And you could think of also natural law, you could think of perennial wisdom, the way we look at things and see what is right action, what is right relationship. This is all bound up with the Haumea archetype, and to some extent Maki as well. They both represent profound connection to nature. They have about the same orbital period. Maki is 306 years and Haumea 284 years, so really only 20 years in difference between the two. So that's interesting to me, that they have a similar cycle in terms of the rhythm, and you could say that the rhythm is a characteristic of the planetary archetype, including Pluto, including Saturn, which has that 30-year rhythm. You have that Saturn return at the 30-year mark, which is a more responsible connection to your responsibilities, to your maturity, indicated by Saturn. Jupiter is a 12-year cycle. And, these planets being so much further out and so slow, but having a very similar cycle, Pluto is 248 years, and then Haumea is 284 years, and then Makemake 306. So I think they're all connected in a certain way. They go to depth within the psyche. Eris is even much further out, and it's aphelion and has a 550-year cycle, just to complete that story. So I think of Eris as a different vibration. And Eris has been identified as a feminine warrior energy, still goes to depth within the psyche. And these new ones seem to have to do with profound connection to nature, named after indigenous gods and goddesses, Haumea, the creation goddess of Hawaii, and Makemake, the creation god of the Rapa Nui people of Easter Island. So to me it's very fascinating. I've been checking them out in charts. I've been seeing how they line up with certain, and they show up characteristically oftentimes in terms of environmental activism, which is more the Makemake realm, in terms of profound connection to nature and shape-shifting and making things happen in a certain way, being connected in transpersonal ways to maybe other planes of existence is part of Haumea. So I'm trying to suss them out. I'm getting pretty good ideas about them, and I've been writing and talking about it. But to bring it to the point, which is that Eris is very much emphasized in this new moon. You can see that the new moon itself is only a couple of degrees away at 22 degrees of Aries. And then we have on the other side, we have Venus at 26 degrees of Aries, making a square, direct square to Pluto, the same degree. And then of course Mars down here is also on an inconjunct aspect to Pluto. So Pluto is getting a lot of play with this T-square especially, and this T-square gets more sharp as Haumea retrogrades backwards. It gets closer to being directly opposite Eris, and meanwhile Pluto's not going anywhere. So over the summer we do see a stronger indication from this T-square. I believe we're going to see more changes coming down. It's not going to be like getting out of trouble. I'm afraid that the COVID could last us through the summer just because of the way things look. There's certain progress. We've seen a lot of progress, California especially, and the governor's been saying open up on June 15th. Maybe we can reopen everything. But my hesitation there is I really do think that some of these other situations in the Midwest and in Texas may be a causative factor, so that you can't really relax vigilance on this virus. It's tough to deal with, and it keeps finding ways to get around. There's mutations of the virus as well. We've got to get something like 80% of the population vaccinated in order to make it safe, in order to be where we don't see more spread. And we're not there yet. We're not anywhere close to there yet. We are made tremendous progress with the vaccinations. We may be almost at 50%, but that's not 80. So, there's a long way to go, and I do think, and also with the vaccine resistance, I do think that there's the possibility, let me just put it that way, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but there's a possibility that this summer might be still a difficult time. And I'm just judging by the closeness of this opposition between Eris and the new planet Haumea as a T-square to Pluto. And it's really active right now and this weekend, so you could see what's coming up maybe. Keep your eyes open and see what happens in the zeitgeist. See what happens in your own life. There may be certain disturbances in the force that we can recognize with ourselves. Chiron is very prominent now as well. There may be inner wounding that comes up. If you find yourself angry or upset, that's your opportunity to look inside. It's really it's a red flag, not about the situation, which is a triggering situation, which may be difficult, but it's how you deal with it, right? Sometimes you come up to a completely difficult situation, you just stay calm and you do what you have to do. And sometimes it can lead to outbursts, but that's always really a function of what's going on inside yourself, right? So having that, like I say, if there is hidden anger that comes to the surface or upset of any kind, it's really an opportunity to look inside. Take some time, be calm and meditative and investigate and see what you can come up with. I just think it's obvious, but it's also hard to pull it off because, we do get triggered and it's hard to remember in the moment, very hard. But that's the ticket. If we can remember that and remember that we're all on an evolutionary path to get forward, to get further, to discover our most authentic self, which is also what Eris is about. So Eris, feminine warrior energy, it does get to depth. It really is your deepest principles that are invoked and come out when you can find them. So as you can come to your deepest sense of self, your most authentic sense of self, and as you can act upon that, really you're kind of in the pocket. At that point, you can say, I'm doing the best I can here. And whatever happens, if the boat sinks, you can still say, I did the best that I could do. I was who I could be. I did the actions that I believed were the right actions. In similar circumstances, maybe the boat didn't sink, but you don't feel like you're really authentic. That's not such a victory. So I think the victory is always inside. The victory is always in terms of environmental. I'm sorry, not environmental. The victory is always in terms of evolutionary progress that we can make within ourselves. And probably eventually with the environment, with getting the environment straightened out is very important. And I think as we can, each one of us, and as collectively as a society, come to ourselves in a way that is authentic and really reflects who we are, I think we can solve these problems. We can work together, we can mitigate, we can do away with fossil fuels, which aren't that necessary anymore and are polluting the planet. So that's what I have for you. These new planets beyond Pluto, new ones that we don't understand very well in astrology, but we're beginning to, are very significant now. And we do have, with Maki, we have the opposition to Chiron. That's been prominent for quite a while, so that's maybe the issue of the painful necessity of healing the Earth, healing our relationship with the Earth's creatures and with each other, and treating each other well and kindly, and trying to come to a better place. Haumea, similarly, a depth understanding of who we are at base and what it is to be a human and to be in our right relationship and with everything and our right action to take place. I remember there's a Grateful Dead line that I always admire because of its simplicity. It's in Uncle John's Band. And the lyric goes, oh, what I want to know is, are you kind? And I just think that's such a perfect way to sum it up. Just try to do the best we can, take it easy with things, but still keep your eye on the prize. We have to move forward. And these outer planets, even the new ones, are telling us that we have to find our way according to our lights, our best understanding of what's the necessary way to go. And the transformation of Pluto is always there, kind of prodding us along. What can we let go of? Where can we improve? Where can we make the moves of our maturity, which inevitably involves change? And how can we see that through? So that's what we're up to. And let me transition back here. So that's all I've got for you. Just a little notification that the universe is on our side, that it's really helping us to see these things more clearly if we pay attention. And it's getting our attention, isn't it, these days? So we do have a lot on our plate, but we can make it through if we can tune in. So that's it. See you soon. Best of luck with everything. So long.